Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar where we're going to be looking at the first session in our invoicing badging series, which is all about product invoicing today. The session today is booked in for 45 minutes, so we've got plenty of time for questions at the end, so make sure you get those submitted. No need to wait until the end of the webinar to ask. We've got Michael on hand in the background who's going to be answering those questions for you there. So as I said, we're going through the first part of our badging or our digital badging series. So you would need to attend 5 out of the 6 topics, plus one of our quiz sessions to earn your digital badge. So today we're looking at entering product invoices. Later in the week on Thursday, we've got credits that we're going to be running at 2 o'clock on Thursday. We've got emailing and printing your invoices, understanding and applying discounts, adding a logo and payment terms to your invoices, and also filters and custom fields. And then we've got that quiz at the end there. There's a link on the slide, so if you do download those, you can get registered for those on there as well. So this is what the session is going to look like today. I'm going to give you an introduction in how to process a product invoice from start to finish within your Sage 50 account software. Following that, I'm going to go through a series of demonstrations in the programme just so you can see how that works. And as always, I'll be providing those links to our guides on the Help Centre. And you'll also get a copy of the recording of today's session in around about an hour's time after the webinar finishes. It just means that you can watch it back at your own pace and you can have a go as well, where you can sort of stop it if you need to and re-look at things on there. So if you sell products, you can raise a product invoice and you can print it and send it out to your customers or email it. There's 3 steps or 3 key steps to this process. The first step is going to be entering your invoice for a product is going to be done within the invoices and credits module. Once that's entered, you can then print or email this and send it out to your customer. You can then post the invoice to the ledgers, which you would need to do by clicking on Update Ledgers, and the value then will appear on your customer and nominal accounts, and it'll adjust your stock levels for you as well. In what order you update the ledgers and print or email the invoice, it doesn't really matter. So if you've updated them to your ledgers first, you can still print them or email them to your customer. So if this is something that you're trying for the first time and you're not 100% confident with it, you can always try it in the demonstration data, because that way you can have a play around with it. It's not your live data you're using. It's just a set of data that's set up by Sage, completely separate from anything else. Nobody else can access your demo data either. It just means you can have a try of new things in there, see how it works. And if you're using version 30 or above, you can restore a backup of your data into the practice data and have a play around with it there. Just means it's completely separate from your live data, but you're using your own customers and products. So just a couple of options there if you're wanting to try it out. I'm going to pop into my program there, and then we can have a look at some demonstrations just to see how it works. So I've got version 33 open here. And first of all, I'm just going to go into our invoices and credits module on the left-hand side. Okay. Along the top, we've got some options along here. I'm going to go into a new invoice just so we can have a look and just see what the layout looks like first of all. When you open up a new one, you're going to have a blank invoice window. You've got some options along the top here. To the right-hand side, you'll see we've got some drop-down boxes as well. So we've got the type, so the invoice type. So if you're using the professional level of the software, just drop that down so you can see. If you're using the professional level, you'll also get the pro forma option. And the pro forma invoices are often just used in things like foreign trade as the buyer's proof of future sale when applying for things like import licenses. If you're on standard or essentials, you'll see you'll have the invoice option there. I'm going to leave it as invoice because that's what we're looking at. Then we've got the format. Again, another drop-down box. You can choose between product and service. I'm going to leave it as product because that's the one that we're using or the one that we're looking at today. And then we've got the date. And the date you can change just by clicking into it. You've also got a little calendar. So that's that little icon there. If you click on that, it brings up a calendar and you can select your date from there as well. So entirely up to yourself, you can change that if you want to. The program will pick up, it'll pick up the program date from your computer on there, so it knows it's the 3rd of March, so it'll always just default it to the date on your computer there. But you can change that if you want to. We've then got the account. So we've got a drop down and it'll give you a list of all of your customers at this point on here. So you can search for them just by typing in there. I've only got 3, so I don't need to sort of go through and start searching for them. I'm just going to highlight it, click OK, and you'll see there that it's populated, first of all, the customer's address on the right-hand side there. And it also populated a due on date there as well. And the due on date's calculated automatically based on your customer's payment terms within your customer payment record. Again, if you wanted to, you could go in and change that. You can click into it and it's got that little icon where you can click on and change the date as well there. Just above that, we've got the order number. So if you are using the professional level of the software and you've got a sales order, which you've dispatched and created an invoice from, this will automatically pull that sales order through onto the invoice for you. If you're not generating via the sales order option, you can click into the box and you can enter your own reference number if you wanted to, or you can just leave it blank, entirely up to yourself there. And we've also got the customer order number. So if you've been provided by one, you can enter that into here. So we move down, we've got our product code. So if I click into that box, you'll see I get a drop down. I can click on my drop down and then I can choose my product from here. And I'm going to come on to these special items a bit later on, but for now I'm just going to pick one of my products that I've got there. Just going to highlight bricks, click OK to that. You can see it pops in the description for me, so that's populated. So we've got that showing in there. Within the description, you've got a little drill down icon as well. So you might not be able to see it, might be small on your screen, but it's a little arrow on there where you can drill down on the description of the item, which gives you an edit item window. So if I just click on that and drag it over because it's opened on the other screen, you'll get this window on here. So it just means you can drill down into a bit more detail on here. So you can pop in things like the units that you sell. For example, you might sell items by the sheet or by the roll, and it's more just for reference only for yourself, that window there. You can add in comments if you want to, just by typing into these boxes here, like a batch number or a serial number, if you wanted to put those in there, or conditions around the item. And you've also got the order reference number window here as well. So that's used again, it's in the professional level if you're using the sales orders option, and that shows the item's position on the order, and that can't be amended. So I can't click into that. If you have a look there, so I click into there, it won't let me click into that. We've then got the values. So your values of your item on there. So it tells us the quantity. So I can change that from here if I wanted, and say I wanted to put 3 in there for it. We can change those. There's also a little, looks like a little calculator. If you click on that, you can key in the numbers from there as well if you want to. The quantity price, that pulls from the unit record on there as well, for the product record for it, for this window here. So that's where that pulls from. You can also add a discount as well at this point. So this is per line. So obviously you've got multiple lines on here. So this would be per line. So you can add in a percentage discount, again, just by typing into the window or using the little calculator button. Or you can put a set discount price on there as well if you wanted to. And then it gives you the net and the VAT split on there. A bit further down, we have the posting details. So your posting details, your nominal code, your tax code on there. So these pull through as a default from the product record. But again, if you wanted to change this, say you wanted to change the nominal code, you can do. You can search, if you're not too sure what the nominal code is, you can search by typing it in there, just by clicking on it. It just gives you that option to change that from here. And you've also got the department. It defaults to the default, which is 0 on there. But if you're using departments, again, you can use the drop down and you can select your department on there as well. Also got additional discounts at the bottom here. We have an additional discounts option on there, but I'm not going to go into that in too much detail. It's a whole webinar in itself, and we're focusing on the basics of a product invoice. However, there is a recording available on our recordings page, which covers all those discounts, which was done by Michael not so long ago there. Close out of that. Along the top, we've got some more options down here. So we're in the details tab at the moment, which is like sort of the main body of the invoice window. We click on order. This includes things like the delivery address. So we saw that on the window just before there. If you have more than one delivery address set up, you can change that by clicking on change there. So we'll just show you what that will bring up. Shows you this window here. You might have more than one address in here, which you can then change the address just by highlighting it and clicking OK, and it'll pull through a different address for your customer there. You can also add a note in if you want to pop a note in there about the particular invoice or the order or anything you want to add in. And the customer order details are here as well. So it gives us a telephone number, the name of the person to contact, and who the order was taken by. So I'm logged in as manager, so it's showing the name manager. If I logged in as myself, as Laura, it would have my name in there. So it just gives a bit of traceability as to who's actually logged that particular invoice. And then you've got your custom fields down here. So your custom fields are things that you can use for basically just recording additional information. So if you ask the customer, for example, where did you hear about us maybe, you might be able to record that in there. There is a whole webinar on custom fields if you do want a bit more information on that. And then we'll go to the footer. It's just on the left again there. So in the footer record here, it's where you can enter any details, things like carriage charges, settlement terms, and that all pulls from the customer record on there. But you can change that in here again. So if you want to add or change the carriage charge, you can come in here and pop in a charge for that. You can change the tax code, nominal code, departments. So this is where you can pop those details in there. We've also got the settlement terms on here as well. And we've got the global changes. So your global changes, if you complete the section, so say the invoice updates, it'll update one transaction using the one nominal code, one tax code, and the details and the department all entered in here, rather than what's been entered in on each line within that invoice. If you've got an invoice with 10 lines on there, and you say, right, I want to use nominal code 4000, T1, a certain department, it will update it as one transaction using these there. Haven't seen a lot of people using the global changes on there, but that is available. And then we've got the payment details. We'll pop into here. So you can record any payments that have been received. So if you've taken a deposit, maybe you can record that in here, and I'll be going through a demonstration of that a bit later on. But the payment type that you want to show us basically. So you can see here we've got 3 payment types. We've got a payment that's already been received. We've got a payment where we post a payment on account, which will post in SA. And we've got allocate the payment to the invoice. So it would post a sales receipt and it would allocate it to that invoice. We use payment already received, it won't post an additional transaction for you. But the payment on account and the sales receipt, those are going to show on the audit trail and the customer record once the invoice has been updated to the ledgers. So if you, I'll show you in a moment when I run through a demonstration, but if you create one where you've got the sales receipt, if you haven't updated it to the ledgers, nothing will show elsewhere. It'll only show in that invoice window up until you've updated it to the ledgers there. This button here, pay deposit by card, that only becomes available. If I have a look, it's not available. If I click on either of those two, it's only for the sale on account there. And that's if you use a PO. The pay by deposit card button can be used to take a card payments over the phone mainly there. We'll go back to the details window on there. And then down the bottom, we've also got net value discount. So just to cover what that is on there. So the net value discount, I just drag it over, show you the window that it opens up on here. So if you've got, say, several lines on here, each line you want to put a 10% discount on, Rather than having to click on the smart link on the description on each one and add in a 10% discount on every single line, you can come into here and just add on a 10% discount within here, and that will apply it to every line on the invoice to the net value on there. So that's just if you want to sort of make a bulk discount on there. So those are sort of the main parts within your invoice window. The other part I wanted to show you, so I'm just going to come out here and not save that at the moment. The other bit that I wanted to show you was there was a couple of things along the top here. So we've got a couple of options along here. We've got duplicate, which if you have an invoice, for example, so say invoice line number 3 here, if I click on duplicate, what it's going to do is it's going to duplicate absolutely everything on that invoice for me. I've got all 3 lines. I've got the same customer. Now, what you can do here is, say I know that these 3 items, another customer wants these items. They want exactly the same details. We can just come in here. We can change the customer. So rather than having to sit and key absolutely everything in again, we can duplicate that invoice and you can change like the customer on there. Or you can duplicate it and say, well, actually, they don't want the plasterboards, but they do want the bricks, they do want the screws again. So we can just remove one of those lines out of there. And you've got the 2 lines left. So you can come in, you can duplicate an invoice that's got many lines on there, take out what you don't want, add anything in that you do want. If you need to change the customer, for example, you can do that too. But it just means it saves you a bit of time, so you're not having to then key in all those details again. You can also duplicate or create an existing invoice to create quotations or sales orders as well. So if I just click on it just to show you, so if you're using the professional level there, it tells you at the top, it's creating a quote on there. It's a duplicate of invoice number 3. So it just makes things a little bit quicker for you. If you know that you've got an invoice and thinking, I don't want to have to key all of that in again, you can click the duplicate option along the top here. So we'll have a look at some demonstrations. So I'm going to I'm going to create a new invoice. I'm going to post a product invoice because that's what we're looking at. I'm going to leave all these details the same. So the date, the fact it's a product, the invoice, the automatic number, obviously that's something, I don't think I covered that before, but the auto number for the invoice on there, the number for the invoice will populate, it's set to auto number. The number's allocated to the invoice once you save it. So if you've got multiple people entering invoices all at once on there, it just means you've got no duplications. So obviously that would just stay the same on there. I'm not going to pop an order number in. I'm going to choose my customer. I'm just going to choose customer 1. I'm going to go with bricks again. And I'm going to leave these items the same. I'm going to put the quantity in as 5. And I'm going to leave it as that. And I'm just going to save that. And then it just gives me a blank product invoice window again. We'll come out of here. We can see it's created that line here. So there's my invoice there. Okay. Haven't emailed anything out and haven't posted anything to the ledgers because I want to show you that first of all. So if we go and have a look at customer number 1 and just go into the activity on there, just to show you we've got nothing posted. So at the moment, that invoice, because it hasn't been updated to the ledgers, we've got nothing showing on the customer activity. That is also the same. So it's for £12, just so we can see which one it is. That's also the same. If we go to transactions, we've got nothing in here either. So remember, the other one was for customer number 1. We have got something for customer 3 because that's been updated, but customer 1 hasn't got anything in there. We go to products and services and just have a look at the activity on that particular item. So I've just clicked on my item and gone to activity there. We've only got 1 transaction, which is for customer 3. I don't have a goods out for my customer 1. And the reason for that is because I haven't updated it to the ledgers yet. So I come out of here. I'm going to go back to my invoices and credits. And I'm going to update that to the ledgers just by clicking on update to ledgers just here. Get a little window. You can either print it, preview it, or save it. I'm just going to click preview just so you can have a look and see what that looks like. Just make that a bit bigger. And you can see there, this is what it's updated. So we've got it's invoice number 4, sales invoice. It's created transaction number 2 in my transactions module. Gives us the date, the account number, things like the nominal code, stock code, etc. And it gives us the breakdown over here as well. So it gives us, tells us what's actually been updated there. Close out of that. We go back to our customers now. And I'm just going to highlight and click on the activity just so we can have a look at that. You can now see I've got my sales invoice showing in there. That's my sales invoice. Tells me the amount, tells me that there's £12 outstanding. That little asterisk there tells me it's outstanding as well. And we've also got, obviously, that it's a debit amount there as well. There is a smart link here as well. So it looks like a little grey arrow. If I click on that, what that will do is it'll open up the invoice. It'll take me straight to the invoice so I can have a look at that. So if you ever need to get back to it from there, rather than going and finding it within your invoices and credits module, you can just click on that little smart link there. I'll just close that. And if we're going to transactions, there's that line. So it told us that it was creating transaction number 2. And that's my invoice number there, invoice number 4. And if we have a look at products and services, bricks, and I'm just going to click on activity, we can see the goods out transaction for customer number 1. And again, you've got that smart link from there as well that takes you straight to that invoice as well. So if you're in this window and you think, I can't remember where that's come from, you can click on that. It's just going to take you straight to the invoice again. So we'll do another one, and we're going to have a look at the payments now, if they're paying sort of a deposit on there, okay? So if we have a look, so I'm going to post another invoice. I'll go to my invoice and credits, and I'm going to click on new invoice just to create a new one. This time we'll go with customer number 2. I'm going to leave the rest of the details the same there, and I'm going to choose, I'll just choose the same one again, just bricks. I'm going to leave that the same. This time I'm going to have the quantity of 10 just to make it slightly different. But within the payment window, so if we come into here, I want to post on there. So say I'm going to post a sales receipt. So the customer's paid a deposit on there, and I just want to record that as a sales receipt. Okay, so I can come into here and I can say, right, there's £24 outstanding at the moment. They've paid me £12 as a deposit. I can use the drop-down box just to make sure that you're choosing the right bank account. So I want my bank current account on there. That's fine. And I'm going to say that they've paid me the £12 on there for it. Pop the £12 in there. I've just realised I put it in the payment reference. So I'm going to say deposit paid in the top window. So deposit paid. I've chosen my bank account and I've put the payment amount in the right window, which is this one here. So you can key it in. And you can also use the little keypad there as well if you want to. And you'll notice there that now I've keyed in £12 in there, it's changed. So now the amount due is now £12. I'm going to change that so it allocates the payment to an invoice on there for me. So when I post when I update it to the ledgers, it's going to post that sales receipt for me as well. So I've got my deposit in there and £12 outstanding. And I'm going to save that. So I'm going to come down to here, click save, and then we'll close that. And now we've got that invoice. We've got our invoice, customer number 2, £24 at the moment because I haven't updated it to the ledgers. So the invoice was always for £24 on there. We go to our transactions. We don't have anything posted yet because I haven't updated it to the ledgers. If we go to our products, just have a look at the activity. Again, I don't have any more goods out in there either. So I've just got that one for customer 1, which was invoice number 4. And if we go and have a look at customer number 2 that I used, have a look at the activity, nothing in there yet. So we know that the main bit is we need to update those ledgers, okay? So if I go back into my invoices and credits module, I'm ready to update that now. I'm going to say update ledgers. Get this little window again. I'm going to preview it. Make that bigger just so you can see it. And you can see this time it's posted 2 transactions. That was far too big. 2 transactions. So we've got the sales invoice, which was invoice number 5. It's created transaction number 3 in my transactions module. It's also posted that sales receipt, which has created transaction number 4 in my transactions module. Tells me the nominal codes used. So remember we selected the 1200 bank account, and it tells us the payment received, okay? And it tells us what we've got left outstanding. So there's that £12 deposit, payment received, and what's left on there for it. So we close out of that, pop into transactions, and there we can see. So there's that invoice that's been posted, and it has got that sales receipt which is allocated to it. And we can also see in here, so if I just drag that along a bit, so you can see that it's got the reference, deposit paid, and we know it was for invoice number 5 on there. And we can refer that one back because there's our invoice number 5 there. So we know that that's been allocated there. It's obviously updated our products again as well. So if I just have a quick look at my activity, there's my goods out, customer number 2, invoice number 5, and it's got that smart link on there as well. And if I go to customers, just have a look at the activity. You can see there that I've got my sales invoice, the smart link, it's £24, and it's got now 12 that are outstanding, and it's got a P for part paid. So before we had one that was outstanding, it had an asterisk. Now it's got a P for part paid on there. And we can see here, if we look at the bottom, the splits in the bottom window there, that sales invoice number 3 is allocated to that sales receipt there. That's how you can use that payment option on there as well. So the update ledgers is the important step when it updates your stock and your nominal codes on there. Without that, the invoice is just going to sit within your invoices and credits module, which is fine if that's just where you need it until you're going to update that. But I just want to cover those special codes as well. So I'm just going to pop back into an invoice window. I clicked on it too soon there. So we've got our special codes. So I'm just going to select a customer number 1 on here, so I can use the drop down box just to show you on here as well. So the special codes on there, so there might be available, or you might need to have like a one-off item where you don't want to set up a product item for it and you still need to record it within the program. You can use what's called a special product code, and you can see there's 4 of them. So there's one which is a message line, which I'll come on to in a moment. We've got an S1 line and an S2 line. So those are the main ones that you'd be using for any sort of product items on there. You've got one which is tax chargeable and one which is 0 rated on there. And then if you were using service items on the professional level, you've got your S3 item. But these are the 2 main ones that I was going to mention on there for it. So your S1, that defaults to your T1 tax code. And then you've got your S2, which is exactly the same, apart from the tax code is T0 on there. Your message line, that is just a way of adding additional text to your invoice, adding a bit more information, like a delivery date, for example. There's no tax codes or unit price or anything like that. It just adds a bit more text in there. So say, for example, I was going to use my S1 line on there. It'll open up this window. I can then add some more detail in here. So if I just wanted to put in one-off custom item, you could pop into there. There was just one of them that I've created, and say it was for £50 on there. So because it's the S1, it's worked out the VAT for me on there as well. We've got the tax code and the nominal code in here too, which you can actually change from here if you want to. You've got the department on there as well. So pretty much a bit like what you saw before on that edit item line. And you can just click OK from there. I'll show you the message item line as well and how that differs. So if I just highlight that again, these will all be at the top of your list as well. If you can't see them, it might be that you've got them turned off within your settings, which we'll have a look at in a moment. I drag that over. This one gives you a slightly smaller window, and you can just pop some details in here. Just going to put in one-off item again, even though it's the same, just so I can show you what it looks like. But you can pop that in there. So I've got my special product code. It's a one-off custom item. Put in the quantity, the price for it, It's split the NAT and the VAT out for me. And if you want to put a bit more information in, you can pop it into there. And the reason you can pop it into there is it'll print out on your invoice as well. So if you create your invoice, this message line will show on your invoice, or your credit if you're using a credit, which we'll cover on Thursday. So if I save that and then just close it, and it'll just save that just as a normal invoice on there. It's just that you're just not including a particular product on there for it. So if we're looking at printing or emailing them, so if we have a look, we'll use this one, for example. If I go to print at the very top, just do that again, just in case you missed it, because it opened up quite quickly there. So I'm just going to highlight my invoice and I can click print from the top. It'll open up my layouts window. And at this point, I can select my layout that I want to use. So you might have one that's already in your favorites window, like I've got on here. If you don't, click on your layouts. It'll give you an extensive list of different layouts that you want to use on there. To add them to your list, you just click on the little star and it'll pop it into your favorites. Just makes it a bit easier next time you're coming to locate them. If I preview that, so you can see that on there. Just make it a bit bigger and zoom in, just so you can see that message line. So that one that I created there, the one-off custom item, and then you've got that additional detail. So if you want to put more information on an invoice, you can use that message line on there just to add a bit more information. And you can see it's not posted any figures for it. It only posts the information for that S1 line. You can also add things in here like a logo or bank details or change the text. These are all things that can be done within the report designer window. It really does make a difference to your invoices and your credits and things like that. Having those details on there just makes them stand out. But we are running a webinar on adding logos and bank details and things to your invoices on the 17th of March at 2 o'clock. So if that's something that you think, actually, I want to, pop something that's going to make it distinct on there, make sure you get signed up for that one as well. And we've also got email at the top. So you've got your email on there as well. So if I click on email, and it's just going to pop that, get this 5 or 6 on there. Just give it a moment to run through and it'll just pop it out to my email for me. There we go. It just tells me it's been successfully output to my Outlook on there. And you can also use the quick print at the top on here. So that option, it basically just prints out your invoices with just one click. So there's no need to start locating layouts or choosing the printer at each time. You can make the process much faster and easier. If you don't have a default setup for that, I'll come on to that in a moment though, because we're going to pop into the settings now. But that's just a nice quick one on there rather than having to go into print, which is just there, and then locate the one that you want to actually print out and your printer as well. So if we go into settings at the top, and I'm going to go into invoice and order defaults. It just tells me it's going to close all of the windows, which is fine. And then it'll open up this one here, which I will drag across for you. So there's a few different options in here. So I'm going to go to options first of all in here. So in here, you can select a number to start your invoices from. So you can see my next invoice number is going to be invoice number 7 on there. But you might want to change that. So say if you've already got invoices from another system, for example, you don't want to start from 0 again, or if you haven't started using the invoicing module yet and you're about to start using it, you might want to keep your invoicing sequence. So if I just put in, so say I start my next one from 10 on there, I say OK to that. Put into my invoices and credits. So we can see my next one would be 7 on there. I just quickly create a new one. Customer number 1. Use plasterboards this time. We used bricks a few times before. I'm just going to quickly save that and then close that window. You see my next one's now jumped to 10 on there. So if you've already got something in place where you've been creating invoices and you're going to start using this, you can actually pop in a number to start using it from. So it's just in settings at the top, invoice and order defaults. And I'll drag it over. And it was just within options there. And you do that for your credits and sales orders. The rest of them are all in there as well, but just to sort of show you where you can do that from. If you don't have that default layout set up as well for your quick link on there, or quick print, I should say, we've got a quick print at the top. We've got in here, and you can do, again, quotes, sales orders, purchase orders, things like that. You can do it from there as well. But if you click on browse, it'll give us the list on here of all those layouts. So what you can then do is choose them and say, well, this is the one that I always want to use on there. If I use that quick print option, this is the layout that I want to use. I'm going to say OK to that, and it'll pop it in there. So next time you want to print it out, you can click on the quick print. It's going to know to use for your invoice. It's going to use this layout, and it'll print that out for you and just makes it a little bit quicker. Just pop back into options as well, because we've also got those special items at the bottom here. So here you can change the default tax codes for special items as well. So you can change the S1 from within the invoice window, but for some reason the S2, you can't change that one in there. You would need to change it in here if you wanted to do that. So you get a drop down and you can change it on there if you wanted to. So that's where you can come in and just amend that in here if you wanted to do that. And you've also got your S3 as well, which you can change from there too. And then we've got things like your footer defaults on here as well. So you can set carriage charges or default carriage charges within here as well. And then the other part is your update ledgers. So I click on that. So this is what information you want to transfer across to the individual transactions within that reference column and the extra reference column. And I'll show you it in a minute as well. So I'll come back onto it. So you can choose what you want to pull through into those fields from here when you update the ledgers. We normally recommend using the invoice number in the reference column. It just means you can filter on that and search if you need to. You can then choose what you want to pull through for the extra reference, or you can leave it blank if you want to as well. By default, it's the invoice number within your reference and your order number on there as well. So if you're using sales orders, it'll pull through that order number. So I'll just show you in the transactions what I mean. Close that, go into transactions. So when I've updated the ledgers, it posts these transactions for me. And we can see here the reference column has got this isn't the invoice number. So I know that that relates, this one here relates to invoice 1, and this is invoice 4, and so on. For my sales receipt, it tells me that that's a deposit paid, but it's pulled through in the extra reference column, the invoice number on there. And sales invoice number 1 came from a sales order number 1. So that's just what you would like to pull through. I'll just go back and show you where that was. So it was just in settings at the top, invoice and order defaults. I'll just show you the other options in there and update ledgers. So as I say, you can click on that and you can change it. So if you want your order number pulled through in the reference column, you can pop that on there as well. So you can choose what comes through. You can just have nothing coming through in the extra reference column if you prefer. So those are the main parts of your product invoice on there. Like I say, if it's not something that you're familiar with and you don't feel confident with it at the moment, you just want to have a play around, you can go into your demonstration data. So just go into File at the top, Open, and Open Demo Data. Just pop in and show you. So at the minute, my company's called Invoices. When it opens up the demo data, it goes into something called Stationery and Computer Mart. And this is completely separate from anybody else's demo data. So nobody else can see your set of demo data. But within here, you can have a play around. So there's things in here. It's a set of data that's set up by Sage, where you can come in and you can create a purchase order, you can create a sales order, you can create your invoices in here and follow them through. And it just means it's completely separate from your live data there. So it's quite good just to have a play around with for things that you're not too familiar with. Just to get back into your live data, we're just going to go to File at the top, Open, and Open Company Data. And that'll just tell us it's going to close those windows. And we'll just go back into Choose Your Company and just log back into the company there. That's quite a handy one if you've not used that before. Just pop my password in. Looks like Michael's on top of the questions there as well, which is good. So I'm just going to pop back to my slides there. Any other questions, make sure that you pop them in there. We'll keep it open for a little while longer, just to see if anything else comes through. Don't forget, like I say, you're going to get a recording of today's session in around about an hour's time via email as well. So if you do want to watch it back at your own pace, or if you want to give it to a colleague to watch, then it's going to be available for you there too. I find sometimes when you watch things back a second time, you can sort of pause it and have a play in your own system there. But I've added links on here as well as promised to our help centre. So the first one, create a product invoice, goes through a step-by-step process that we've just looked at. And I've also included a handy article about the different types of invoices that you can create within Sage as well. I've included a guide around those special codes that we've talked about there too, that we mentioned in the demonstration, just for when you don't want to create an actual product record, but you need to record the item on an invoice. And then for anything else that you might be looking for, I've also included a link to our help centre there, just where you can access our webinars, both live and the recordings. So we do have one coming up on Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock, which is around creating the credit notes on there. So that might be worth having a look at on there. We use the special codes in that one too. But there's also guides and things like the Sage University on our help centre too. So I've got a link on here. This takes you straight to our webinars page for 50 accounts and for payroll. So if you're using payroll on there as well, we've got the webinars for those too. And we've also got our community hub, which is an online forum for Sage 50 accounts users to share knowledge and swap ideas and solve problems together. It's completely free to join. You can ask questions where other users, along with Sage experts, can help you and advise you. And if you know the answer to something, you might want to pop something on there as well. But you can keep up to date with what's happening, and it's open 24/7 as well. There's a link on there which just takes you straight to the hub. And I've included an additional survey as well, which I hope you don't mind if you haven't had a look at it. It's just to shape our learning and just around what matters to you most there. There's a QR code on the screen, but there's also a link on the slide. So if you've downloaded the slides, you can just click on that link there. I can't see any other questions have come in, so that must be a good thing on there if you've got everything that you need from this session. So it does bring us to the end of today's session. So if you've got what you've needed from us, then that's absolutely great. As always, you're going to get a survey when leaving today's session. So I hope that you've found that useful and it sort of explains things a bit more around those product invoices. But for now, thank you for attending, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.